Welcome to another edition of the Plan Well podcast, hosted by owner and attorney of Cary Estate Planning, Paul Yokovitis.
All right, welcome everybody to the Plan Well podcast. This is episode 13. Today we are with Charles Irvin, who's a financial advisor with Luca Partners. Charles, thanks so much for being on our podcast. Let's see, you've been with Northwestern Mutual for over 10 years at this point. Is that right?
Yep. And 2009.
You were right out of college?
That's right.
Got it. And now you've grown your career to numerous designations, now a partner with Luca Partners. Y'all are forming something significant over there, but still hanging your licenses with Northwestern Mutual, one of the world's leading insurance companies and wealth management companies, but forming something significant. I know you've got the three partners. I'll ask you to explain a little bit more about your structure, but three partners and 11 associates and staff, including 6 CFPs and a CFA.
Yeah.
Pretty significant, man.
Yeah, it's a big team. We're really excited about it.
And then you're married to Lisa, who's a former teacher, and you've got 3 kids, all under 5 or under, right? So it's David, Abigail, and Bennett?
Yep, 3 under 5. 3, 5, and under.
That's super fun, right?
Can't keep it straight, man.
Well, I'll let you fill in the gaps a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about your travels to where we're at today, your family, what motivates you.
Yeah, so my wife and I, I'm a North Carolina native, been here my whole life, multiple generation Tar Heel or maybe a Tar Hole, depending on the audience that we're talking to.
All about perspective.
Yeah, man. But we love the area. My wife is from the Midwest, and we have family out in Oklahoma. In fact, we'll be out there next week just to spend some time with family. But when you ask like what motivates me, it's that, right? It's the little ones at home and building a business to serve our clients, but also being able to build it in such a way where I can be able to be dad, be husband, and do the things that are most important to me.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think that I unfortunately gets lost often is the why, what we're all doing this for. It's, the money is the money and there's always going to be money to be made. But if your heart isn't pure and you're not motivated for the right intentions, then it doesn't really matter. Right. Now all of this with Luca Partners is sort of coming together this year, right? Sort of formalizing the partnership and branding and structure and whatnot. And obviously the other big thing that happened this year is COVID. So how is this all, playing together? How has this impacted your practice, your planning, what your clients are experiencing together with creating Luca Partners?
Yeah. So talk about what we've seen through COVID this year, maybe first, and then the Luca Partners portion of it second. So, in February, we were at an all-time market high, depending on the different indicators that you look at. And in a matter of just a few days, we saw the biggest and shortest pullback that the market's seen in the history of the market ever. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, that had some people up in arms. Fortunately, I get asked the question, your phone must be blowing up off the hook this year. And the answer really is it's not been.
No.
So many of our clients, yes, we manage a significant amount of assets for clients. Mm-hmm. But what is unique about the way we do that, it's all through the context of a financial plan and telling people, just being open and honest, being transparent on the front end, that when you have money in the market, no matter how you invest it, no matter how diversified you are, no matter what happens, it's going to go down. And so our clients are, in essence, prepared for that. Mm-hmm. We stress test their financial plans, even before COVID. Hey, what happens to your plan if your portfolio, which by the way is not your plan, right, it's just a means to an end. What happens if your portfolio goes down by 20, 30, 40%? What does that do to your financial plan? And so as these things unfolded, we had more conversations with clients, but in the background, our team was tremendously busy doing portfolio adjustments, taking advantage of the volatility that we were going through. In March, when the equities markets were down big time, fixed income was up. And so strategically making adjustments to sell things when one asset class was high and buy things when another asset class was low, but all doing that inside of the context of a financial plan. So that was kind of the first wave of COVID and what was going on in our business. And then pretty quickly, the government came out with these different stimulus plans. Most impactful to us in our conversations with clients was the PPP program for business owners. And so we spent a good amount of time trying to help business owners evaluate sources of liquidity, how they can continue to take care of their employees, which they care about so much, serve their customers, serve their clients, keep their businesses and their lights on. And so helping them navigate how to do those types of things. And really, I think in the last, 6 weeks or so, it seems to be that we've gotten into a little bit more of a normal cadence and rhythm of conversations with clients, a more normal review discussion with clients. By no means am I saying that things are back to normal, right? But just the conversation and the feel of things seems to be a lot more normalized now. So, and then of course, through all that, basically everything we've done since March has been virtual, which has proven to be interesting because so much of what we do is relational. Right. It's a relationship with a client. And so much of that, is benefited from sitting across the table, handshakes, hugs, like dealing with hard stuff with clients and shoulders to be cried on. That's kind of the relationships that we've developed with people. And what's been interesting is people who, a lot of our clients that are older had been resistant in a lot of ways to virtual meetings, period. But all of a sudden, in order to see their grandkids, in order to connect with their friends or their children, they had to learn how to do virtual meetings. Yeah. And so there's this whole new kind of adoption rate of doing things virtually. And while I really long to be back in person and seeing people face to face and sitting across the table, I think that there's a tremendous amount of innovation that's going to be coming, and adoption to change is going to be coming around virtual meetings as we move forward. Yeah. So that's kind of the COVID piece of it. What's going on with Luca is we've worked kind of informally together, the three of us. So myself, Jimbo Huckabee, and Whit Newton have informally worked together for many years now and have longed for this day, if you will, trying to get to a place where we could build an entity, build a firm that would endure beyond any of the three of us. Because we know the advice and the work we're doing for clients is of a time horizon that's greater than any one person. Yep. Right? Multi-generational planning, from the matriarch and patriarch to their children and grandchildren, from the business owner, the founder of the business, to Gen 2 and Gen 3, right? The multi-generational nature of the work that we're doing for clients requires a firm that can endure and be there. And unfortunately, the industry forever has kind of existed where you're a client of an advisor. And the challenge of that is that when that person retires, dies, or becomes incapacitated, all of a sudden you're a client of a 1-800 number. Right. Whether people want to admit that or not, that's the reality of the financial services industry. And the concern there is all of a sudden you get a call from John Doe or Jane Doe. It says, hey, Paul, I'm your new advisor. and I can see all of your accounts, and I can tell you what's going on in each of your accounts, but I have no clue why you've done what you've done. I don't know any of your story. I don't know any of your motivations. I don't know any of your vision. All I can do is just talk about product. And that's a huge disservice that the industry has done to clients. And part of that is the fault of the firms. Part of that is the fault of the regulators. I'm not trying to say one person's guilty there, but to deliver the kind of advice that clients really want, we've had to work to create this firm. And so we kind of, I'll use the marriage analogy, if I will. We kind of got engaged a while ago, and we're planning our wedding for June 1st. But like we were operating as one business for many months now, back into 2019. We're trying to work out all of the kinks. We're trying to figure out, personalities, operations, and workflow. How are we going to get all this stuff done? How are we going to be consistent in deliverables to clients? All of these things. It's been a tremendous amount of work to get to where we could, on June 1st, kind of to the public officially, go to the altar and say our vows, right, and make this thing official. And so, what we're really excited about is, we've got an older partner, Jimbo, who is not old by any stretch of the imagination, and then myself and Whit, and then as you mentioned, 12, and we're the 13th staff member starting on Monday. So still growing, even though this thing is only a couple months old, and building a firm that will be able to serve clients multi-generationally. And then as you just go back to what I said earlier about my vision, part of the reason even before this, I had built my team, and there was three and then 4 support staff people serving clients. Part of the reason I built it that way is because I said, well, I love what I do, but I do what I do because I love my family and I want to spend time there. And so part of the reason we built a team to the way that we have is the 3 of us, we don't want to do it all.
Yeah.
We would much rather build a team, build a group of experts with different deep knowledge in different financial planning areas, so that we can do the things with our family that we all I think strive and want to do.
Well, and you're not going to be the best at all of it anyway. It's that's sort of the fallacy of staying small, is that it assumes that you're going to be competent and capable of doing all the things. Like, for instance, I know Sasha is your marketing person, right? Well, not everybody on your team is going to be strong at marketing. That's why you have a marketing person, right? And some people just don't want to do it. So you either delegate it, or you eliminate it, or you just slug through it. But it's ultimately, you got to get yourself to the best use of your time. And for you and your partners, it seems that that's more, one, leading the pack, but actually doing the planning, not necessarily the data entry and the administrative work and the marketing, right?
Bingo.
No, that's important.
Exactly.
And obviously you don't want to be spending, every day of the week at the office till 7, because then you're never going to see your kids, you're never going to see your wife, right? That's been a main objective for us too, is we want a bunch of people who are good at what they do, who enjoy what they do, and collectively we form a team that does it all well, right? But that we're all able to leave it at the office, not be burdened by, the stress of our positions, and be able to serve clients. Because if everybody's stressed out and worn thin, then your clients are going to feel that too. But going back to what you were mentioning at the beginning, I think that is the mark of a solid advisor. And the purpose of advising, I think overall, is to, when these market fluctuations and volatility comes, you don't see the stress, right? The client isn't pounding on the door saying, what the hell am I supposed to do right now? They already know, and they're already expecting these short-term volatility points, as they should, because it happens almost every October, right? Pretty much every October is like a bloodbath. But you see the people without advisors freaking out, and they're, converting everything to cash, locking in their losses, and then they're hoping to ride the wave back up in the market, instead of saying, well, let's cool down, let's reevaluate your short-term goals, keep your eye on the prize in the long term, and just ride it out. And then here we are, right? The market's rebounded fully, from relatively speaking, fully from February, right? Now we don't know what the next few months look like because Twitter basically drops the market on it takes one tweet and we're, riding the roller coaster again. But tell us about, some points that you're seeing with your clients. Maybe they're new potential clients or new to your model. The average things that just families, individuals, business owners just aren't considering or just don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. We have folks that will come in oftentimes who have what I'll refer to as the pebble in their shoe. Mm-hmm. There's something that's been kind of on their mind that they know they need to address, that they know is a gap in their planning. And that's often what gets them into the door, if you will, and makes them connect initially. Almost all of our new clients come from referrals from existing clients, friend of a friend, colleagues, etc. Mm-hmm. And so when we're connecting with someone, there's typically something on their mind. And maybe it's, I've changed jobs recently and I don't know what to do with these old retirement plans. Maybe it's, hey, I'm starting to get really nervous about college in the next few years, and are we going to be prepared to do college the way we wanted to? Sometimes it's people who are in kind of that last runway ahead of retirement, and can I get done in the next 6, 8, 10 years what I need to do to get to what I want retirement to really look like. So there's often that pebble in the shoe that is the thing that's top on their mind when we come in the door. But with everybody, as we engage, as a CFP, our bias towards all of this is, understanding the whole picture so we can make a comprehensive recommendation and not just a product sale. Yeah. Right. And so regardless of what those scenarios are, those pebbles in the shoe, there are financial products that would help them with those particular things. Mm-hmm. And we could sit here and we could talk about the 529 for education, or we could talk about the IRA for the rollover, or we could talk about all these different product strategies. But what we find is that our clients make far better and far more confident decisions on product once we've designed a financial plan. Yeah. And so they come to us often looking for one thing, to find out that what they really were longing for was something quite different. Right? I want to save money for college. Mm-hmm. And not that we're not going to help them do that, just to be very clear, we'll help them do those things. But we want them to make the decision, not just, hey, I've got some extra money, let's put it in a 529 plan, but let's figure out how much money do you need to save to meet what your goal is to help with college or your retirement goal is. And not just let's put it into this thing because it's called a college savings plan or because it's called a retirement plan. Let's look at the whole world of financial products that are out there and make sure that you're using the right products to meet your goals and objectives. Yeah. Frankly, we don't really care what the products are. We could give two rips what the product's called. What we care about is, does the client meet their goals and objectives? Right. And are they doing it as efficiently and as effectively as possible? Oftentimes, just very similarly to the work that you're doing with folks on the estate planning side, their biggest concern in a lot of these scenarios for us is tax. Mm. And whether they've recognized it yet or not, their biggest expense today, and likely their biggest expense forever, will be income tax. Right. And so how do we not just save enough money to meet their goals, but do it all as efficiently as possible inside of the context of their plan? So
I think that's a good point. You're looking at outcome instead of the actual mechanism. You're looking at how do we get you to a point B instead of, spelling out every single piece of the puzzle that gets you there. We see that a lot with estate planning too. People are really hyper-focused on the tools we use, like what's the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? When at the end of the day, they probably don't really care about the tools. They care about what the tools do. and how that plugs into their overall objectives. And so I think that's, again, probably a mark of good planning is keeping your eye on the prize, on the outcome, and then utilizing fiduciary first planning techniques to get to that outcome, regardless of what the tools look like.
Bingo. And back to our conversation earlier about, early COVID and the market. Mm-hmm. So every client's different. Let me just be clear. Most of them don't really care. Do we have investment A, B, or C in their portfolio?
Right.
They might like to talk about it at a cocktail party, but they tell it doesn't matter to me, Charles. What matters to me is this investment portfolio? Is this summary of financial products and strategies, is it going to allow me to retire with dignity?
Right.
Is it going to allow me to help my kids and grandkids the way I want to? Is it going to allow me to still be okay even when the market takes a bath like it did in March? Is it going to fill in the blank? And typically the things they care most about is not about investment A, B, or C, or to your point, is it revocable or irrevocable? They care about an end goal. And the products are simply just a means to get them to their goals.
Right. Exactly. Now, part of that is obviously what are we recommending? And when it comes to, investment strategies, like lawyers, some forms of advisors have a fiduciary responsibility to only do what's in the client's best interest. And a lot of those end up being CFPs. I know your two partners, and then there's 3 other people on your team have CFPs. Can you walk through what that means, why it's important to your planning practice and your clients?
Yeah, and the CFP and the fiduciary thing are some very hot button topics right now in the industry. So the CFP, the Certified Financial Planning Board of Standards, is in essence the kind of industry mark of excellence of people who, number one, are doing planning the right way, which is planning focused, not product focused. Right. Which is solving clients' needs, mm-hmm. their goals and objectives, as opposed to salespeople, which is what a lot of financial professionals are. And so, as such, there's a high level of standard, a fiduciary standard that we have in basically all client engagements, to be able to have the clients know that their best interest comes first. Mm-hmm. And that's why I go back, as I said earlier, we don't really care what the financial products or tools are.
Right.
Oftentimes, our engagements with clients aren't even around financial products and tools. It's simply around our advice and our intellectual property and being able to deliver feedback to them and doing so in their best interest. And so it's a question that we get from clients quite a bit. Are you a fiduciary? And the answer is yes. And I think that's the path forward for the future as SEC and FINRA have come down with different fiduciary standards or best interest standards. They've called them lots of different things over the last several years. There's been a lot of players in the financial service business who have been forced to drastically change their business models because they were not anywhere close to in adherence to what the new rules are or are going to be, right. Which is just shocking to me. Mm-hmm. Shocking to me. People ask us, what are you having to change as a result of these different regulations? And the reality is, we're not changing anything.
Right.
We're doing business the same way we've always done business because we've always done it in the client's best interest.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the companies that just abandoned retirement planning as soon as the DOL ruling came out, like State Farm and stuff like that. They had no business doing retirement planning to begin with, but they immediately just sort of confessed that what they were offering was not going to be in the client's best interest.
And a lot of the big broker dealers said, we won't work with you anymore unless you meet X, Y, and Z standards, or we're forcing you to change your financial product from this thing to this thing in order to still get advice.
Yeah.
That's craziness to me. It's just, it's a sign that there's a lot of people out there who, have just been financial product salespeople. Mm-hmm. They call themselves financial advisors. Some of them call themselves financial planners. You know, what I always tell people is forget what the person calls themselves. Kind of like forget what the product's called. Let's talk about what is it that they do,
right? And
how do they go about doing it? Because whether you call yourself a financial advisor, a wealth management advisor, a financial representative, a fill in the blank, that doesn't mean anything to anybody. Let's talk about what do you do and how do you do it, and is that a right fit for the client or not?
Yeah, really great points. Let's see. Now let's get a little bit into who is Charles. This is our hot seat portion of the podcast. What is a show
it's going to get
that
increasingly more boring as we go forward?
This is where the audience tunes out, right?
Yeah.
What's a show that you're currently watching? You and Lisa.
Well, Lisa doesn't really have any interest in it. She is interested in other shows. I watch very, very little TV, but I'm a sucker for Westerns.
Got it.
I in my past, I have run a horse barn with 30 plus head of horse, and we would take high school kids on trail rides all through the mountains of North Carolina. So to say that a piece of me like longs to be in the wild, wild west is maybe a little bit of an understatement. So
maybe that's your future retirement, buy a ranch out in Oklahoma.
That's right.
To Lisa's family.
That's right. Maybe. So needless to say, the show Yellowstone that's centered in Wyoming with Kevin Costner is a show that I've just been like totally infatuated in, and they're in the third season right now, and
that's Netflix.
I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Is that on Netflix?
I have no idea. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea.
It's on your TV somehow, right?
She changed all of our TV programs. So now it's all the streaming, and I don't know what service it's on, but I watch it.
Found it, you watch it. That's all that matters.
That's right.
In any given weekend, if you have some time on your hands, where would our listeners find you?
Basically anywhere but inside. So, you know, that might be outside playing with the kids, playing ball with the kids. It might be running or biking. It might be hiking, you know, camping. Like, we just love being outside. We can't get enough of it. You know, our house kind of backs up to a big state park near Jordan Lake. And so we can get back there and go hiking for days, honestly. But we love being outside. Maybe I'll be out back smoking something, pork butt, smoked a bunch of pork butts last weekend, or ribs or briskets or wing. I mean, I just love being outside.
Yeah, it's getting harder these last couple of weeks. It's been so freaking hot out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we were down at the lake for a little while, just having a little reprieve from the heat. But yeah, it's been tough lately.
Well, that's North Carolina in July, right?
Yes, it is.
Let's see. So what's a book that you recommend the most?
Actually, I think I have a copy on my shelf. One that's just general, kind of like phenomenal life principle, in my opinion, is a book called The Go-Giver. And
love Bob Berg.
Yeah, it's great, man. And what he says, and many different stories and examples, is just be kind to others and give to others. Give of your time, give of your talents, give of your treasures. And it's a great book that I think is kind of a theme of how we try to live our lives in our family. Another, more specifically to our work professionally, is a book called Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth by Nick Murray. And Nick's been around for a really, really long time. He's been a highly sought after advisor and speaker in the financial services business. And, you know, a lot of what he talks about is behavioral finance, right? And the technical things are important in our world. the technical things are a given. You're not going to do what my team and I do if you're not good technically, or at least you wouldn't have any clients. But it's the behavioral things of engaging with clients and helping them navigate challenging decisions that are challenging because of their behaviors and not because of making bad logical decisions.
Got it. No, it makes sense.
Again, that's Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth by Nick Murray.
We'll have to check that out. And then where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah, so you can go to Luca, LUCA-partners.com. Find us on LinkedIn, Charles, Irvin, either of my partners, Whit Newton, Jimbo Huckabee, or the extension of our team. So you can find us there. We've got offices in Raleigh, one by the State Fairgrounds and the PNC Center, one in Durham, Chapel Hill, not far from South Point Mall, right off of I-40. But we have clients all over the country, and we are licensed to do business in most all states, and most of our clients are here in North Carolina and the Triangle area, but work with people all over because, as we said earlier, it's a relationship thing, and people want to work with people that others that they know and trust have been able to vouch for.
That's great. Well, good. And we'll link to those sites in the show notes. Charles, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate your time today. And thank you everyone who's listening for listening to the Plan Well podcast. This is Paul from Cary Estate Planning.
That's it for this week's episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you all next time.